Hi guys, it's DanMinigun bringing you another video. In this episode, we'll be taking a look at some hidden weapons we can find in the game files. Special shout out to Symthic.com who have data mined their files, and they're actually available just by following the link in the description. By going through the scripts for each of these weapons, we can see their base statistics. Now, in this particular video, I would like to focus on the Chauchat, Madsen, and the Astra machine pistol, as they seem the most interesting. I may also take a look at the Chauchat, or also known as the Sterling SMG, because it's also quite interesting. Let's start out with the familiar one, the Chauchat machine gun, which is present in BF1 and also one of the campaigns for Battlefield 5. Like with Battlefield 1, the Chauchat is a 20-round machine gun with a 359 rate of fire. In Battlefield 5, as the single fire mode actually changes the weapon statistics, the rate of fire drops to 257 RPM when the single fire is selected. The damage model is where this weapon really gets interesting. If you recall, Battlefield 1's Chauchat only did a 3-bullet kill to 20 meters. In Battlefield 5, this has been significantly bumped up to 50 meters. Yes, that's right, you will get a 3-bullet kill all the way out to 50 meters. Soon after this, the weapon drops to a 4-bullet kill, and that's about it. That's actually a pretty powerful weapon, and for those who enjoy the single fire high damage type of gun, this will be a godsend. Something very different to Battlefield 1, however, is its recoil stats. It does not have a first shot recoil multiplier, as apparently none of the weapons of Battlefield 5 do, which is something new I didn't know about. The base upward recoil is 0.95, whereas Battlefield 1's version was 0.55. Unlike most automatic weapons, the Chauchat will not increase in upward recoil per shot. If you do not know, Battlefield 5's upward recoil is not as simple as previous games, as the upward recoil actually increases per shot. The horizontal recoil is 0.25 to the left and 0.25 to the right. The base spread is 0.15, which is actually similar to Battlefield 1's telescopic Chauchat, and a 0.45 moving spread, which is slightly better than Battlefield 1's 0.5 version. Like with all LMGs and I believe semi-autos, there is no spread increase per shot on this weapon. The most notable feature of the Chauchat is that it has no spread increase per shot, as all other automatic weapons do, except for the Bren after the 5th shot. And well, it's a high damage weapon that keeps its 3-bullet kill to a ridiculous 50 meters. I think most other LMGs other than the Bren will outshoot it at close quarters, but I suspect that, like I said earlier, if anyone just wants a high damage per shot weapon, this is a perfect gun. In fact, its magazine capacity of 20 rounds actually makes the damage model make the magazine feel like it's much larger than it actually is, just like it did in BF1, but perhaps even more so now. So in general, compared to BF1, the Chauchat keeps its damage for longer, has higher vertical recoil but lower horizontal recoil when we factor in the specializations. In fact, we can take a look at the specializations right now. We can actually see some of the customization available for the Chauchat. First, we have the improved hipfire and quick ADS, pretty standard. We have the improved ADS while moving, so increased accuracy while moving and shooting. We also have reduced horizontal recoil, fast move ADS, which is the lightened stock, so you move faster when you ADS. The improved ADS while stationary, so I'm assuming a lower base spread. We have a quick reload and reduced vertical recoil. All of these will make the weapon more controllable. I suspect the vertical recoil reduction would make it closer to the BF1 Chauchat. So that's it about the Chauchat. Let's move on to another weapon. This one is a type of weapon that we do not currently have in Battlefield 5. It is a machine pistol, and no, it would not be a sidearm. Most likely it will be another category given to the medic class, and there are some differentiating features between these and the SMGs. So, the Astra machine pistol is an extremely high rate of fire weapon with a rate of fire of 1124, which is pretty insane, basically a pocket MG42. It holds a detachable magazine of 21 rounds, has a very high base spread of 0.3 for Battlefield 5. This base spread is actually similar to what you would see on a non-optical or anything that's not Ribeiro's assault weapon in BF1. The spread increase per shot is also rather high at 0.18. The vertical recoil is at 0.6, which is fairly high for that rate of fire, and a vertical recoil increase of 0.06. The horizontal recoil is actually not that bad at 0.3 and 0.3. Unfortunately, the customization for this weapon is not really complete and all of them are just placeholders, so we do not know what we will be able to choose as specialization options for this gun. If we compare the Astra machine pistol to something with a high rate of fire in the SMG class, such as the Suomi, we can see that the Astra actually has lower vertical recoil and much lower horizontal recoil. The horizontal recoil on the Suomi is 0.465 to the left and right, and has an initial vertical recoil, or rather just the vertical recoil, of 0.76. This is much higher than the Astra's values, and these stats are actually just with the 770 RPM version. Basically, what seems to be happening here is that the Suomi has a lower base spread of 0.15, but the Astra has a higher base spread of 0.3. So I suspect these weapons, as in the machine pistols, are easier to control but have much more severe range drop-offs. I actually don't know what the damage model will be on the Astra, but I suspect it will be similar to an SMG. This could actually mean that the machine pistols are a category of weapons similar to the non-optical versions of the SMGs in Battlefield 1, where they were very range limited but offer best-in-class close-quarter performance, and with that rate of fire of 1124, and the other ones, as in the machine gun pistol 1912 and the Frommer Auto, which are also in the files, have a 900 rate of fire with similarly low recoil values but high base spread. So this will be a very interesting category of weapon, and I'm very much looking forward to see what they do with them. Another weapon which we'll be taking a look at is the Patchet, or also known as the Sterling submachine gun. Like the name implies, this is a submachine gun with rate of fire of 600 RPM. It has a detachable magazine of 32 rounds, a base spread of 0.15 and 0.3 whilst moving, a spread increase per shot of 0.18, vertical recoil of 0.4, vertical recoil increase of 0.03, and horizontal recoil of 0.3 to the left and right. This weapon is interesting because it occupies the 600 RPM niche, which makes it a very versatile weapon that can compete both in close quarters but can also do well at medium range, especially with that reasonable recoil values. And this, like all the other stats, is not even considering the customization or other specialization options. The closest competitor in the SMG class to the Patchet is most likely the MP34 with its 600 RPM mode selected. The MP34 with its 600 RPM mode does not have a large magazine, as it is limited to 20 rounds. So the Patchet is when you want that 600 RPM, but you don't really care about extending your range. For those that do not know, the MP34 has the ability to retain a 4 to 7 hit kill, whereas the other SMGs are a 4 to 8 bullet kill. I suspect this will be a fan favorite in the community, simply because of how obvious it is to use and how versatile it can be. Think of it as the STG of the Medi class. Up next is another familiar weapon, the Madsen. The Madsen has a rate of fire of 540 rounds per minute, which does not have a provision for single fire, it seems. It comes in with a base magazine capacity of 30 rounds, but also has the ability to get an extended 40 round version. The damage, I'm not sure what the damage model is, but I'm pretty sure it will be like all the other LMGs outside of the Chauchat. It has an upward recoil of 0.6 and an upward recoil increase per shot of negative 0.05. This is actually interesting because I suspect that Battlefield 5's LMGs actually get lower vertical recoil the more they're fired, although in practice I didn't really notice this, and I actually found that they were better in bursts except for the Bren. It has a very low horizontal recoil of 0.2 to the left and right, and a base spread of 0.15 when stationary and 0.4 moving. Essentially, this is a Lewis gun that is more accurate. It trades some magazine capacity, especially if you consider that the Lewis can be upgraded with 97 rounds, for a more versatile playstyle. The Lewis horizontal recoil is 0.22 to the left and right and has a vertical recoil of 0.62 with a worst vertical recoil increase of negative 0.045. This essentially creates a similar situation to what we saw when we compared the Lewis gun to the Hewitt rifle in Battlefield 1. That doesn't mean that both these weapons are similar to those aforementioned weapons, but the difference stands. One trades magazine for more accuracy and more responsiveness if the negative vertical recoil actually works, because I never really noticed it. Before I leave, I would like to mention another category of weapon which is not in Battlefield 5, and I suspect that these will be given to the medic class. These are the carbines, which currently consist of semi-automatic pistol carbines similar to tanker weapons in Battlefield 1, but they actually have some interesting statistics. Like SLRs, these do not have any spread increase per shot, but unlike SLRs, do not even have vertical recoil increase. They stay at a vertical recoil value of, in the FN 1903's case, 1.5. Their horizontal recoil is also very low at 0.1 to the left and right. A 0.1 value is similar to what we see on the Brand gun and the 1906 from Battlefield 1, which was an extremely accurate weapon. We do not know any customization options for this weapon. Currently there are no customization options for the carbines. Interestingly, the Delisle carbine is also listed under this category, even though it's a bolt action weapon. Perhaps it can be reworked to function as a medic weapon. Unfortunately, I do not know what the damage values for any of these weapons will be, but if you imagine the 1917 trench carbine from BF1 but far more accurate, I think you will have a good idea of how these weapons work. I think this will be a good way of giving medic a more ranged option, but not necessarily an overpowering one like an SLR, whilst making their gadgets pair well nicely with it without making them overpowered. So that is all I wanted to say today. I hope you enjoyed the video. My name's been DanMinigun, signing off.
Objective done. Grab that ammunition!